Call to order. Flag salute. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Open Public Meetings Act statement. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies, at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted on. In accordance with the provision of the Act, the Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted in the Augusta, Branchville, Lafayette, and Sussex post offices, and notice sent to the New Jersey Herald, Star Ledger, and the clerk of the boroughs of Branchville and Sussex, and the townships of Frankfort, Lafayette, and Wantage. Mission statement. High Point Regional High School, in partnership with staff, family, and community, is dedicated to the quest for individual excellence. By fostering high standards of achievement, we prepare students to become responsible and productive members of a diverse society. Roll call.
Mrs. Anderson is not here. Mr. Ancliffe?
Here.
Mr. Dunn?
Here.
Mr. Kehoe?
Present.
Ms. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Morangi?
Here.
Ms. Tadona?
Yes.
Mr. Carrazza?
Present.
Ms. Nugent?
Present.
Dr. Ripley?
Here.
Okay. Executive session. Do I have a motion to go into executive session? Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing no opposed, we'll go into executive session now.
Motion to go back into public session?
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing no, everybody in favor, nobody opposed, we're back in public session. What I'd like to do is there any unfinished business that needs to be addressed? Seeing no unfinished business, move on to approval of the minutes. We had the regular meeting minutes revised on June 17th, the regular meeting minutes for July 16th, executive session minutes, session 1, July 16th, executive session minutes, session 2, July 16th. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion. Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Ancliffe?
Yes.
Mr. Morangi?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes, on June 17th, abstain on all those from July 16th.
Mr. Carrazza?
Abstain for June 17th, yes for all of the July 16th.
Ms. Smith?
Abstain June 17th, yes for July 16th.
Ms. Nugent?
Yes.
Ms. Tadona?
Yes, for June 16th, and abstain from July 16th.
Mr. Kehoe?
Yes. The next is public comments, and these are for agenda items only. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, we'll open the for public comments now for agenda items only at this time. Each speaker should state his or her name and their address. You'll have 3 minutes to address the board. We will limit the section to no longer than 45 minutes. Please be respectful and mindful of your comments are being recorded. With it being open, do we have anybody from the public who would like to address an agenda item?
Is that right if I just stand here?
You can stand wherever you would like. Please give your name and
My
address.
name is Melanie Portilla. I'm from 31 Deckertown Turnpike in Wantage. I am here representing some of the parents from the Special Education Department and the High Point Special Education Advisory Group. We have met with Dr. Ripley, Mrs. Anderson, and a few other people, including Mr. Campbell, regarding a lot of issues that we had had, one of which was the Special Olympics Unified Sports, which is on the agenda tonight. And we just wanted to say how thrilled we were that it's actually on there and moving forward and hopefully passing tonight. We really think it's going to be a great opportunity for our special ed students as well as the general ed students. The student body here is amazing, taking our kids under their wing all by themselves without a program like this. So we really think that this is just really going to help create more opportunities like that. So, thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other public comment? Seeing nobody else from the public having comments on the agenda items, we'll move to the presentations. The presentations, I don't think need to be timed today. We'll start with the HPEA.
I don't think so.
Not seeing an HPEA representative present, we will move on to the principal's report.
Hello. So I have to say a little joke before we start. I got a message from Mr. Campbell saying, "Oh, you have a packed house," and I got nervous. All right.
I was worried about parking.
I don't have to worry about parking. All right, so this year we want to thank the custodial maintenance, building and grounds, the IT department, the secretaries, and our student workers for getting us ready to open up in September. I mean, the floors look great, the building looks immaculate, and we've done a really, really good job. I've been here throughout the summer, and they've been working really, really hard, so we'd like to thank them. Staff, parents, students, welcome back. Communications have gone out through multiple platforms, so we sent them out by mail. They've gone out through Genesis, so those are all out. Our Genesis parent portal has been our next communication. Nearly 100% of our forms are being completed through there, so all our student activities, sports, health forms, they're all being completed through Genesis, which is nice, kind of streamlined it. Our master schedule, thank you, Gibb Carter, guidance staff, supervisors, and CST really gave us a really good student-centered schedule, so we're almost there, but it's looking really good. We're continuing with Let Our Walls Talk, our Wellness Council, and Digital Learning Committee, as well as our many student advisory and leadership committees. We're hoping that we continue to grow those committees and continue to get student and staff involvement. Some upcoming events, September 4th is our freshman orientation. It's a half day, so that's September 4th. September 5th is our full day for all our students. September 10th is the 9th grade parent night at 7 p.m. And September 19th is our back to school night at 7 p.m. Should I move into, I'm also here for Mr. Van Linden's athletic report, so I'll just continue with that. So we approximately have 30% of our student body participating in fall sports, which is a great number. We see them out there now. They're really pumped, they're really excited, so it's good to see. Girls volleyball is going to participate on both the varsity and JV level this year, which is exciting. We first started off as a club, and we've eventually gotten into sport, and girls are excited, everyone's excited about it. And then our scrimmages for the fall sports, they're starting up in the next 2 weeks, so you'll see we have a bunch of events going on. So we're looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. With that, we'll move on to the curriculum and instruction.
Great, thank you, good evening. I'm terribly sorry that I missed last month's meeting. I heard that the increased free time in your schedules was greatly appreciated. In the spirit of summer, we'll be relatively brief this evening. The Farm and Horse Show is here, and we're proud of our local representatives who were quite dignified and eloquent and articulate, and great representation of our community and for most of these young ladies for High Point High School. So, want to mention briefly QSAC. QSAC, as many of you may know, stands for Quality Single Accountability Continuum. I take that back. I doubt many of you know what it stands for. However, I believe that we're aware of QSAC because we know that it is a daunting monitoring system that we have to endure. And we are slated to be monitored in the 2020-2021 school year. So not this coming school year, but the following school year. So we're very confident that we're in a good position right now to assemble a review team to go through the rubric of what QSAC monitors,
to break down where we are at this point proficient and what else we need to do in order to demonstrate our excellence to the audit. It is daunting. There are pages, dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of pages. And so we're beginning to break them down and look at how well prepared we are and what needs to be done. CUSAC evaluates all school districts in New Jersey once every 3 years. The previous 2 cycles, High Point received a waiver based upon our preliminary submission of where we were at. So we're very proud of the fact that we had done so well in the past and had presented where we were at in such a thorough manner that we were waived 2 years in a row. So we haven't really gone through this. It will be about 9 years since we've thoroughly gone through the monitoring process. Instruction and program, a large component of that is simply your assessment scores and the assessment scores of every particular subgroup and what type of growth they demonstrated. And that is something that is a huge focus of ours, but essentially that's predetermined by the test results. Fiscal, governance, operations, personnel, a significant amount of the evaluation looks to see that the board was actively notified and consented to and endorsed the operations of the school. So you'll see this evening several measures on the board agenda, and increasingly throughout the year I will review previous years and previous months and just make sure that we have adopted all appropriate measures. So we are going to begin in September to put together a committee, and we're very thankful that we have these 12 volunteers. Board members, administrators, and teachers will all take a look at what needs to get done and get started on it. Mr. Minkowitz will play a key role as 4 of the 5 areas are significantly related to fiscal management. So congratulations, Mr. Minkowitz.
Thank you for volunteering.
Welcome to the team. In all 5 areas, in order to pass CUSAC, you must score an 80% proficient in each of the 5. So we are confident that we will be proficient, but it is a lot of work. We have an obligation to demonstrate to our community that we are exceptional and that we take compliance seriously, and that we, when are required to, demonstrate our thorough and efficient cooperation with everything that we need to do. So we're excited. We think we'll do quite well with that. Any questions about CUSAC?
Mr. Campbell, so there's a district that I think ran into some recent problems.
May have been.
They did.
Is there anything that we can learn from that, or is there anything we need to be concerned with the problems they encountered?
I believe that the local districts are exceptional, and I guess I empathize with their situation. Knowing the onerous nature, as Ms. Smith does, I believe that a school can be thriving and successful, but the bureaucratic requirements are so daunting that I can easily see how a high-performing, successful school could easily not pass certain aspects of CUSAC. So I think it's something we want to avoid. We want to be thoroughly successful in all 5 areas. However, it certainly got my attention and has motivated me to be starting this now.
The big difference is that we're starting it now for next school year.
Right.
Whereas they had months to adapt and change to the new requirements that CUSAC had put forth. So they did not have this. So I think it's a smart move, getting your ducks in a row early.
So we hope so. You will see on the agenda this evening several items that fulfill annual compliance. August is essentially becoming a compliance month where a lot of things the board has to recognize are on there. And I'm just going to ask that as you go through them, should you have any questions this evening, feel free to ask me if you would like clarification. Comprehensive equity plan. We must every 3 years evaluate the degree to which we are compliant with affirmative action regulations, ensuring that gender and race and sexual orientation and ethnicity are fully supported and that there's no discriminatory practices. So we did a self-assessment, and then we have a plan for improving a couple of areas. Two simple areas on our comprehensive equity plan for improvement is one, a home language survey that all new students will complete. We want to know not only if students who come to High Point are bilingual or if English is not their first language. We want to know more about what is spoken at home so we can paint a better picture of the student and see how we can help them. Another aspect that we're going to try and improve upon is simply an evaluation of our honor societies. Right now, our honor societies are disproportionately female, and that may be appropriate. We simply want to evaluate how do we promote it. What are the requirements to get into our honor societies if we properly promote it to all our students? And is there a chance that we might be able to get greater representation from our male students?
Funny you would bring that up. What's our percentage of male and female on the honor society? Do you know?
I do not know because we have the National Honor Society and then we've got approximately 6 subject-specific honor societies. I will say,
my question is on the National Honor Society.
in the National Honor Society, we've improved our gender equity considerably, but my guess right now is approximately 2/3 to 1/3. But I will look that up. I don't know that for sure, but I will look it up and I can email the board that.
And do you know what the national average is by any chance?
I believe the national average is approximately 60, but I'm giving you a ballpark response here, but.
Do you have the averages for any other area schools by any chance?
I do, because I know that we've had this conversation in the past, and it is an important issue. Perhaps that's what triggered the affirmative action team to pick that issue when we went through our needs assessment. So I can get you some more information on that. We would like to see more male students excelling academically. This is a national cultural problem that in secondary education, female students are academically more successful. That is nationwide. They are the predominant, they disproportionately excel in class rank, and there are more young ladies attending college. So there's concern that, as a system, what are we doing to ensure that we're meeting the needs of our male students? And that's just one component.
And I bring it up, and my statistics may be out of date, but I think when we discussed it at that point in time, it was 75 to 80% female to male. At High Point, when I was told it's a regional issue, I found out that nationally it's about 55% female to 45% male, and that was consistent with what a couple other local schools had, close to the national average. None of them that I could find out had anything anywhere near High Point. So the reason I was told didn't bear out when compared to any of the local schools around us. I can get the information.
It's a good question, and I'll certainly can quickly get you our numbers, and we can take a look maybe at some of that data we looked at in the past of regional. So we have 2 staff members. This is Corey Leola, Mr. Tom Ryan. About 7 or 8 years ago, did a comprehensive school-wide analysis of male and female students, and just objectively trying to determine whether it is discipline or suspension or dropout rate or class rank or participation in sports. Is there a gap? And that was their conclusion that they're both parents of boys and want to know, are we fully supporting all our male students? And we're not. I believe we are, but I believe it's something that still needs to be looked at and can be improved. The federal grants are on the agenda this evening. Choice enrollment will be funded for students. Professional development and mentoring plan is a requirement that the board affirm that we're properly doing that. Danielson and Marshall are the rubrics we use to evaluate our teachers and our administrators. EduSeer is our online provider. Our curriculum maps are public, and I included the link in the agenda. The public is free to view all of our curricula and to see the standards as they're aligned to the maps, which is a major component of CUSAC. It's simply that you've adopted the current standards and that you're teaching them. And we're very transparent, they're public. So 90% of the courses, occasionally we have a new course. It takes a year to fully develop a map. That won't be on the public site yet, but almost every course we have, our maps are public, and we're very proud of that. And the staff and the student handbooks, which Ms. LeDuc and Mr. Van Orden and Mr. Talamay have been working on, are completed and ready to go. So, good. All right, now for some fun. August 5th through 8th, we had a phenomenal program here at High Point. Mitch Morrison is a gentleman from Sparta who is a community organizer, a wealthy do-gooder, someone with a lot of energy who just wants to do great things. He looked for a host facility, and I believe that High Point supporting this is really something we should be proud of. Our board and our administration look to say yes when someone asks us these things, and I think that's a part of our culture that we should be very proud of. The students came in on day one, and it was safety, safety, safety. They started out slowly. I apologize for the image there, but the program worked with the rear wheel was a rolling pin, and it was very taut, and after each day, they would reduce the tension on the band holding the rolling pin so that the participant wobbled a bit, and that was day 3 was now you're out on 2 wheels. We have a handle attachment on the back, and someone's guiding you as you ride. And right around day 4, the magic happened, and we think about, as parents, the experience we had when we let go and our children first were able to ride a bike, how exciting that was. That was really a memorable life experience for these children, and I didn't realize that until I saw the parents. So parents were pretty emotional when they saw a child that they perhaps didn't think would ride a bike or had yet ride a bike who could do it. And then day 5 was flowers and parades and high fives. And the parents came, and it was just fantastic. It was a great day. And we had teachers, administrators, secretaries, students. Students volunteered to help. Students participated as riders. And we hope that we can grow the program and have even more participation next year. And then every group, that was just one session. And I have to say that the organizers of the event, I don't believe they were paying lip service. They said every single day how nice it was to be at High Point, because it is a special place. And I'm not just saying that, but our maintenance staff, we came in on a Sunday night. That was the only expense to the board, was to cover custodial shift for 2 hours so that we could have an orientation before it started. Appreciate that support. But we welcomed them. Mr. Tyler stopped out every day and said hello. Mr. Carter was down there every day. Our maintenance staff every night said, if you need anything, what can we get you? And it's just nice to have that culture, that when guests come to our building, it is indicative of who we are, that we go out of our way to let them know that you're not bothering us, we're excited that you're here. So it was a great week. Along the same line, as Ms. Portiga mentioned, we are excited to be adding unified phys ed to the curriculum. And I want to thank the CPAC and the parents who have been working with us to improve our curriculum and our programs, and Mr. Carter and Mr. Van Orden, who have been working to put this together. This is, as we just heard, not only a program that will benefit our special education students, but all students. So it takes students of a diverse background and ability, and they will all benefit. So in the past, we had an adaptive PE. So students with disabilities would have their own physical education program. Mr. Delaney and Mr. Gardner would run it. It was great. But now we're simply saying, well, why are we not having our regular education students, buddy with students with particular needs, and make it more inclusive and more meaningful. So we're excited about that, and we hope that we can also get our unified sports program
Item 7, other business. Be it resolved that the Board of Education approves the following Board of Education goals for 2019-2020 school year. I have to question the second goal. The first one is review and update the Board of Education bylaws to ensure greater transparency in operation. The second one is that during the 2019 calendar year and over the next several years, the High Point Regional High School Board of Education shall complete 4 credits per year for a total of 16 in 4 years, so as to earn board certification from the New Jersey School Board Association. I believe that needs to be corrected, and the shall earn board certification from the New Jersey School Board Association, which includes completing 4 credits per year for a total of 16. And the reason I say that needs to be corrected is because there is other things that needs to be accomplished other than just doing that 16 credits. So I there's a motion to amend that.
Motion to amend it as just.
Do I have a second on?
Second.
that?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Seeing nobody opposed, then I'm going to present that the be resolved the Board of Education approves the following Board of Education goals for the 2019-2020 school year. 1, review and update Board of Education bylaws to ensure greater transparency in operations. And 2, during the 2019 calendar year and over the next several years, the High Point Regional High School Board of Education shall strive to earn board certification from the New Jersey School Boards Association, which includes, amongst other things, the completion of 4 credits per year for a total of 16 credits in 4 years. That being presented, do we have a motion to accept?
Motion to accept.
Second.
Roll call?
Oh, I'm sorry, who made the motion?
I did,
Gail?
yeah. I think I did.
Yes.
Something.
Mr. Ankleff?
Yes.
Mr. Reggie?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Karazza?
Yes.
Ms. Nugent?
Yes.
Mr. Dona?
Yes.
Mr. Kehoe?
Yes. The next action item, number 8, A, curriculum instruction and technology. Mr. Dunn?
I'd like to move the item number 1, be it resolved that the Board of Education approves the district goals for 2019 to 2020. 1, to incorporate the use of data analytics software to enhance our efforts to assist students by measuring the effectiveness of our multi-tiered system of supports. 2, evaluate assessment data to establish personalized and prescriptive curriculum and to inform instructional design. 3, support staff in fostering strong relationships with students so as to advance academic achievement, cultivate appropriate student behavior and respect, promote overall wellness, and strengthen both individual and institutional character. And second,
Second.
discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Reggie?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Karazza?
Yes.
Ms. Nugent?
Yes.
Mr. Dillon?
Yes.
Mr. Ankleff?
Yes.
Mr. Kehoe?
Yes.
All right, I'd like to move, there are a lot of items here, 2 through 10. Item 2 is it's recommended by the superintendent that the Board of Education approves the job description listed in attachment A1 for guidance counselor student assistance coordinator. 3, it is recommended by the superintendent that the board approves the professional development activities as listed on the attached roster, attachment A2. 4, it is recommended by the superintendent that the board approves the curricular field trips and co-curricular field trips as listed in the attached rosters, attachments A3 and A3B. Number 5, it's recommended by the superintendent that the Board of Education approves the substitute orientation program to be held on Tuesday, August 27th. And 6, it's recommended by the superintendent to a post-comprehensive needs assessment, which has been completed by the affirmative action team in accordance with and under authority of policy 1523, and that's attachment A4. 7, it's recommended by the superintendent that the board approves the comprehensive equity plan for school years 2019 to 2020 through 2021 and 2022. Attachment 5. 8, it's recommended by the superintendent that the Board of Ed approves the professional services agreement between High Point Regional High School and Pass It Along Incorporated of Lafayette, New Jersey, as defined in attachment A6. 9, it's recommended by the superintendent that we approve the application for and accept funds under the Every Student Succeeds Act, Perkins Act, and IDEA-B grant for the 2020 year, as so listed below. And 10, it's recommended that by the superintendent that the Board of Ed approves the enrollment of the following students for the 2019-2020 school year through the New Jersey Department of Education Inter-District Choice On Roll and Others. So we have 4 choice students and 1 other. I make a motion.
Second.
Any discussion?
I just had a question, I guess it'd be for Dr. Ripley, in regards to number 8, the pass it along, the services agreement with Pass It Along. How many of the students are actually involved in that? Is that every student in the school, or is there a certain set of students who are involved in that program?
So right now, it is the 9th grade students. I'm sorry?
We've added 10th this year.
Okay.
So 50, if I may speak, 50% of our students will participate in a 3-day training run by Pass It Along in the fall. I was at a meeting at SCCC yesterday with Pass It Along and their president, John Connolly, and doing some things to partner with some other schools, but right now, Pass It Along is coming in and doing a leadership character ed program with all our 9th graders and all our 10th graders, each for 3 days, and then we hope that there's some extension activities beyond that, which sometimes is confusing because we also have a Pass It Along club here at High Point, and it can get a little bit gray as to which is which. This agenda item is separate from the Pass It Along club that we have here.
So it's my understanding that all the programs that they do are based on leadership or character building, stuff of that nature.
Correct.
Okay.
Although right now they had to convince their board, but they are trying to do more on, they call their 10th grade program Passion and Purpose, and they're trying to link their 10th grade program to career-mindedness, trades, occupation, etc. So one of the programs we're trying to get is for that Pass It Along program to bring our students to the new McGuire Chevrolet facility, and for some of our students to see hands-on workshops about how they might be able to, as 11th or 12th graders at High Point, have some release time and to go begin working in that trades training.
Thank you.
This is in line with our district goal number 3 that was just read. Cultivate appropriate student behavior and respect, promote overall wellness, and strengthen both individual and institutional character and social and emotional learning.
I have a question on number 5. For the substitute orientation program, how much is that costing the district?
Nothing.
Oh, nothing?
No, we do it, administrators do it in-house.
Oh, okay, so the substitutes are not getting paid for that day to come in?
No.
Oh,
So,
They are now?
Yeah, they always did.
so you get paid half a day.
okay.
But-
And so are they all new substitutes, like that this is?
I oversee the substitute, so if I can speak. We have old substitutes that come back, so we require them to come back with any changes so that they're well aware of any changes that we're implementing for the new school year, whether it's based on student conduct, classroom expectations, if we add anything new in the building, whatever it may be, and then all the new ones as well. And then throughout the year, if we have any substitutes who wanna, let's say they get their 60 credits in December, I hold a specific substitute orientation just for a small group at a time. So we do over the year.
Sorry for my.
Can I just comment? I just want to say that I believe that how we, as I said, when guests come to our school, I've heard feedback from multiple subs who have subbed in other districts that the treatment they receive here is unrivaled. For one, they interview with the superintendent, and they all say that nowhere else did they ever even meet the superintendent. Dr. Ripley takes a half an hour and sits with them before they come into the building. And second of all, what Ms. LeDuc and Mr. Van Orden do giving them a tour of the facility, explaining to them not just rules and regs, but our internal culture is really impressive.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, I was just curious as to like, is it the same 50 people that we're paying to do the same thing every year?
I
You
will
know,
say, it's a
so.
county issue with trying to get substitutes in.
Yeah,
It's
it's
a struggle.
impossible.
I reached out to Sussex County Community College to see if we can, partner up with them and do something. But this year, surprisingly, I took a look at the list of names that we have, and we do have a good amount of new names, which I'm excited about. So we usually have about 5 or 6 that are pretty steady throughout the year, and then some that show, but we do have a handful of new names.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? Good questions. All right, roll call?
Mr. Dunn? Yes. Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Caraza?
Yes.
Ms. Nugent?
Yes.
Mr. Donovan?
Yes.
Mr. Ancliffe?
Yes.
Mr. Morangi?
Yes.
Mr. Keel?
Yes.
Okay, now I'd like to move items 11 through 19, I believe. Yes, 19. Item 11, it's recommended by the superintendent, the Board of Education approves adjusted summer workshop per diem days for the staff members as listed below, including Jill Schaefer, Carla Puso, Beth Wall. Number 12, it's recommended by the superintendent, the Board of Education approves the professional development and mentoring plan for the 2019-2020 school year, which will assure that all mandatory staff trainings are fulfilled through the following. It's attachment A7, new teacher supports, evaluations, in-house professional development, funding, Achieve and J, and mandatory trainings. And then number 13, it's recommended by the superintendent, the Board of Education authorizes the use of the 2013 Danielson Framework and Marshall Principal Evaluation Rubric to evaluate staff administration during the 2019-2020 school year. 14, it's recommended by the superintendent, the Board of Education approves the establishment of a quality single accountability CUSAC team in anticipation of the 2020-2021 monitoring. The team members are listed below and were listed up on the board. Number 15, it is recommended by the superintendent that the Board of Education approves the EduSeer Online as the home instruction provider for the 2019-2020 school year. 16, it's recommended by the superintendent of the Board of Education approves the use of the Special Olympics Unified Physical Education Program as part of our curriculum for the 2019-2020 school year, attachment A8, excuse me. 17, it's recommended by the superintendent, the Board of Education approves the use of Rubicon Atlas curriculum maps and affirms the prior adoption of and continued alignment with the New Jersey Student Learning Standards, the Next Generation Science Standards, and Career and Technology Education Standards. The maps are located in High Point Regional. Rubicon Atlas. 18 is recommended by the superintendent. The Board of Education approves the staff handbook for the 2019-2020 school year, available on Google Drive. And 19 is recommended by the superintendent that the Board of Education approves the student handbook for the 2019-2020 school year, which can be accessed online at the High Points webpage. Can I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Caraza?
Yes.
Ms. Nugent?
Yes.
Ms. Donovan?
Yes.
Mr. Ancliffe?
Yes.
Mr. Morangi?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Mr. Keel?
Yes. Personnel?
Okay, under personnel, I will move items 1 through 11 together. Item 1 is recommendation by superintendent, the Board of Ed approves the following part-time paraprofessional classroom aides for 2019-2020 school year as listed. Item 2 is recognition that in accordance with the terms of the HPRHS agreement, the following individuals have provided appropriate verification required for advancement on the guide for the 2019-2020 school year as listed. Item 3 is recommendation to approve the following administrators for Saturday detention coverage at the hourly rate of $85 for a maximum of 4 hours per each Saturday for the 2019-2020 school year as listed. Item 4 is a recommendation to approve the following substitutes for the 2019-2020 school year as listed in the lengthy list. That's good. Item 5 is a recommendation to approve a maternity, child care leave, family medical leave, and New Jersey family leave to employee 1075 effective on or about January 24th, 2020 for the remainder of the second semester of the 2019-2020 school year. Item 6, there's a recommendation to approve Jonathan Janucci completing his internship in school administration under the guidance and oversight of Aldo Diadino during the 2019-2020 school year. Item 7 is a recommendation to approve the appointment of Donna Lembo and Caroline Bodmer-Keivel to alternate coverage as the after-school media center chaperones effective for the 2019-2020 school year at the hourly rate of $20 per hour. Item 8 is a recommendation to approve Ann Yacarino as after-school detention proctor for the 2019-2020 school year at the rate of $20 per hour. Item 9 is a recommendation to approve pending clearance through High Points Director of Safety and Security the individuals listed below as volunteers for the fall play and spring musical during the 2019-2020 school year as listed. Item 10 is a recommendation by the superintendent that the Board of Ed approves home instructors for the 2019-2020 school year as listed. And item 11 is a recommendation to approve Samantha Soslov as a practicum student under the direct supervision of Kira Whelan at all times. I make the motion seeking a second.
Second.
Any discussion on items 1 through 11?
So number 11, what exactly is a practicum student?
It is essentially preliminary to your semester as a student teacher. So the semester prior to the semester during which you student teach, usually is that semester. It can be other semesters, but you go in and do some rudimentary work as an educator to prepare you for the next step to become a student teacher.
And never let them supervise.
Right.
Any other discussion, comments? Seeing none? Roll call, please.
Mr. Caraza,
Yes.
Ms. Nugent,
Yes.
Mr. Dona,
Yes.
Mr. Ancliffe,
Yes.
Mr. Morangi,
Yes.
Mr. Dunn,
Yes.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Kehoe.
Yes.
Okay, I'll move item 11 loan, or excuse me, 12, sorry, 12. Item 12 loan is recommended by the superintendent. The Board of Education approves the 6th period assignments for the 2019-2020 school year as listed. I make a motion seeking a second.
Second.
Any discussion on item 12, 6th period assignments? Questions, comments? None?
Ms. Nugent,
Yes.
Mr. Dona,
Yes.
Mr. Ancliffe,
Yes.
Mr. Morangi,
Yes.
Mr. Dunn,
Yes.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Caraza,
Yes.
Mr. Kehoe.
Yes.
Okay, I'll move the final items 13 and 14. Was there something in the addendum on this? There is
Yes.
one, did I-
16 and 17.
Okay, so I'll move items 13 through 15. Oh, I guess we missed 15 somewhere, but items 13 and 14 and 16 and 17 in the addendum together. Item 13 is a recommendation to approve the appointment of Deborah Studer as job coach for the 2019-2020 school year. Stipend of $500 will be added to the base salary as per HPA contract. Item 14 is a recommendation to approve Mr. Kevin Craig as a district homeless liaison for the 2019-2020 school year in accordance with McKinney-Vento legislation. Item 16 is a recommendation to approve the following part-time professional classroom aides for the 2019-2020 school year as listed. And item 17 is a recommendation to approve the following substitute for the 2019-2020 school year as listed. I make a motion seeking a second.
Second.
Any discussion on 13, 14, or 16, 7?
I have a question on 13. It talks about Deborah Suter being a job coach for the 1 year, but yet the stipend being added to her base salary. Under the contract rules, once the stipend is added to the base salary, does she continue to get it even though she's not a job coach in future years?
It's approved every year.
So it's not added to her base salary, it's an additional stipend that she will get each year that she performs the services, correct?
Yes, that is correct. The paycheck, the $500 increase is realized in the paycheck, but yes, it still remains a stipend.
It doesn't get added to the base salary. Future years.
Correct.
Is it mentionable? Well, that doesn't matter.
Okay.
You're clear?
Yes.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Sedona,
Yes.
Mr. Anklev,
Yes.
Mr. Moretti,
Yes.
Mr. Dunn,
Yes.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Karas,
Yes.
Ms. Nugent,
Yes.
Mr. Kehoe.
With the understanding that the stipend is an annual payment that must be added for services performed, yes.
Looks like I'm still on, right?
Extracurricular.
Oh, no. Oh, that's all right.
There are-
Yes.
There is.
Okay, so extracurricular, we have items 1, 2, and 3, and also item 4 in the addendum. So I'll move those 4 together. Item 1 is recommendation by the superintendent board that approves extracurricular appointments for the 2019-2020 school year as listed. Item 2 is a recommendation to approve vendor payments for the full drama, The Diary of Anne Frank, to the individuals as listed. Item 3 is a recommendation to approve the marching band to hold their annual mattress fundraiser on October 19, 2020. Is that a correction?
2019.
Oh, no, that's correct, right? That's this year.
Mhm.
And then, final item is recommendation to approve the extracurricular appointments for the 2019-2020 school year as listed. I make a motion, seeking a second.
Second.
Any questions on any of those 4 items? Comments? None?
Mr. Anklev,
Yes.
Mr. Reggie,
Yes.
Mr. Dunn,
Yes.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Karas,
Yes.
Ms. Nugent,
Yes.
Ms. Sedona,
Yes.
Mr. Kehoe.
Yes.
Policy. Only one item. I'll make the motion to, that is recommended by the superintendent that the Board of Education approves the reading of the following revised policy, policy 5111, eligibility of residents/non-resident students in attachment A1. So, any second?
Second.
Any discussion on item 1 policy? Seeing none.
Mr. Reggie,
Yes.
Mr. Dunn,
Yes.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Karas,
Yes.
Ms. Nugent,
Yes.
Mr. Donut,
Yes.
Mr. Anklev,
Yes.
Mr. Kehoe.
Yes. E, negotiations. Whereas the High Point Regional High School Board of Education and the High Point Administrators Association are bound by a collective bargaining agreement effective from July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2022. And whereas the board and the HPAA, through their respective negotiations committees, have engaged in thorough and productive negotiations that have resulted in a proposed 3-year agreement for the period from July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2022, the agreement. And whereas HPAA membership has recently approved and ratified the proposed agreement on July 23rd, 2019, and whereas the board believes that the proposed agreement is in the best interest of the students and the taxpayers of the High Point Regional High School District, as well as its members of the HPAA, now therefore be resolved that the High Point Regional High School Board of Education hereby, and 1, approves and ratifies the agreement between the board and the HPAA for the period July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2022, and 2, authorizes the board president, the business administrator/board secretary, and the superintendent to execute the agreements and take all necessary and appropriate steps to carry out this action of the board. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second. Discussion? Seeing no discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Morangi?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Caraza?
Yes.
Ms. Nugent?
Yes.
Mr. Dona?
Yes.
Mr. Ancliffe?
Yes.
Mr. Kehoe?
Well, I have to say that with regard to this agreement, it was negotiated between the parties. We did come to an agreement or a memorandum of understanding, but because of the subsequent events, I'm going to respectfully say no. Okay, at this point in time, before we move on, I'd like to, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, there is another item I missed. Number 1 below that, it is recommended by the superintendent that the Board of Education approves the administrators' salaries for the 2019-2020 school year as outlined in attachment E2. Do I have a motion on this? Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, roll call?
Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Caraza?
Yes.
Ms. Nugent?
Yes.
Ms. Dona?
Yes.
Mr. Ancliffe?
Yes.
Mr. Morangi?
Yes.
Mr. Kehoe?
Yes. At this point, before we move on, I'd like to bring up one issue that's come to my attention and to many of our constituents, and I'd like to at least mention it at this point in time, and that is that the New Jersey Herald published on August 11, 2019, a list of county school spending and based on school averages and state averages. It listed what the average administrator's salary was in for Hyper Regional High School. According to this, the New Jersey Herald's published, that would put the administrators at High Point within the top 5 schools out of 26 schools in the county and higher than some schools outside the county. Based on that, much interest in the constituents on this, I'd like to make a motion because many people have asked questions about it, many people have challenged it as being inaccurate, and there being confusion over the accuracy of the New Jersey Herald's publication. I would like to make a motion that we have the average administrative salary as analyzed by the New Jersey Herald, reviewed by an expert, and reported back to the board on whether or not it's reasonably accurate to follow the New Jersey Herald's publication of 2019 Taxpayers Guide to Educational Spending. Do I have a second on that?
Yes.
Any discussion?
So, I'm trying to understand, so the data that was published in the article was sourced from the Department of Education?
That's correct. It said the source is New Jersey Department of Education 2019 Taxpayers Guide to Education Spending Administration.
Which itself is derived from information that is input into the database directly from our own business
Each
administration.
school submitted to the Department of Education.
Is that correct, Jim? The information you enter at the friendly budget, or that data is typically what goes into the state database from which this...
From what I understand, they pull from a number of information sources that schools input data from. I don't know exactly what sources they have taken their information from for that item. I can look into it.
Fair enough, but I guess
To put together that taxpayer's guide of spending, they use a number of sources.
That is my understanding that the formula that they use too is not as simple as here's what they make. We're paying it, taking it from their salary guide, and this is what they make. It's as far as like the dealing with the ratio and everything, they take into a number of things. And I'd like to point out that I think it's inaccurate in the title itself because they call it the 2019 Taxpayers Guide when the data is based on data from 2 years ago.
Correct.
So.
understood, but having navigated the site there and sourced some data from that myself and used it for presentations in front of the public. I think it's dicey if we take on the challenge of contesting what the state puts out as data to the public. If we think there's value behind challenging it, I guess, then so be it. I would hate to spend a lot of money looking to contest something that is generally accepted around the state as.
And I'm neither contesting or accepting, I'm just asking that we consider retaining an expert on reviewing the information and seeing whether it's reasonable for us to rely upon the information the Herald is publishing.
I believe that our contract with school boards may allow us to have them do the analysis about which we are interested in asking for free as a part of our contract with them. The school boards will analyze teacher contracts or administrator contracts for free. It's a part of our fee that we pay them as a board, and I believe that the question that you're posing may be done as a part of that agreement with school boards.
Well, then what I'll do is I'll amend my motion to ask the school boards whether or not they can do it, and if they can, we'll ask them to report back. If they can't, I may redo my motion at a later date. Just so that our constituents who see these numbers, we are able to logically answer them, what are the numbers, is it accurate or is it not? Because I hear people on both sides.
Yeah. Are we questioning the actual numbers themselves or the Herald reporting?
The Herald reporting on the reasonableness of it to rely upon, because that's what all of our constituents rely on.
Yeah,
It's a whole
certainly.
nother ball.
And
The
that's-
data that's presented is an average
Right,
salary.
exactly, there's a reason
Which
to rely
could be
upon.
skewed depending upon how many are in that average and what is the, the maximum,
Mean,
minimum, and mean.
Right.
Okay.
You're absolutely correct, because there are, depending upon what metric they're using or what data they're using, when we input, say, sometimes let's say we're talking about a director of guidance. Let's say if the director of guidance has a caseload of students of 100 students, that portion of their salary is not accounted for administration. If you have supervisors or curriculum supervisor, a portion of their salary is allocated to curriculum rather than administration. I'm not saying definitively that that's not accounted for in this. I'm just giving context that that's not counted against the cap of the amount of money that is appropriately allocated to administrative fees. So when we talk about that, there's a cap, I think, is it 10% for administrative line? Legal fees are administrative. Use of paper is administrative. Things like that. Administrative assistants are administrative. I'm not suggesting that it is involved in that. Maybe it is, I don't know.
And that's where having an expert look at it, give us an idea, just because something else might be included in every school that's doing it, if they're doing it on the same basis. Would be it. So I would amend my motion to be that I recommend we approach the School Board Association and see whether they would do an analysis for us as part of their contract. And if they don't, then we reconsider it another time.
That's second.
Okay, second? Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, take a roll call.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Crosset?
No.
Ms. Nugent?
Yes.
Ms. Tadona?
Yes.
Mr. Redcliffe?
Yes.
Mr. Morangi?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Mr. Keough?
Yes. Moving on, buildings and grounds. Seeing the no items on there, I'll move on to finance.
Finance. We have 7 items. I will move them all together. Item 1 is recommendation that the Board of Ed accepts the report of the Board Secretary Business Administrator for the months of June 2019 and July 2019. Item 2 is a recommendation that the Board of Ed accepts the report of the treasurer for the months of June 2019 to July 2019. Item 3 is a recommendation the Board approves the report of transfers and minimum expense transfer report for the months of June and July 2019. Item 4 is a recommendation that the Board approves the payment, the attached schedule of audited bills dated August 20th, 2019. Item 5 looks like there is a correction. Just
Yeah,
to be clear,
the school store and the student accounts were not,
being struck in this motion.
for July, are being struck from this motion, they were not ready as of today. They're still being worked on. This, school store was, student account. Student activity account was part of our corrective action plan. We corrected it as of June 30th. We have a new version of QuickBooks, and the staff is still being up to speed on the new version of QuickBooks and having July reconciled.
Very good. Okay, so item 5 will be as read. It is recommended that the board accepts the adult education agency account, athletic account, cafeteria account, principal and principal petty cash accounts for the month of July 2019. Item 6 is a recommendation the board approves the agreement between Sussex Vocational Board of Education and the High Point Regional High School for educational services for 148 students at the tuition rate of $2,227 per student for a total tuition cost of $329,596 for the 2019-2020 school year. And item 7 is a recommendation the board approves the following tuition contracts between High Point Regional High School Sending District and the following districts and related information as listed. I make the motions on item 1 through 7, seeking a second.
Second.
Any discussion on any of those items?
I'd like to just note item 6, where it talks about 148 students going to Sussex Voc Sending District. I believe that number is down fairly substantially at a rate much greater than the reduction in the student population, which is a great reflection upon the school and the education that they receive at High Point, and that it's being recognized by the families around the community.
If no other comments, roll call please.
Mr. Caraza,
Yes.
Ms. Nugent,
Yes.
Mr. Dona,
Yes.
Mr. Ancliffe,
Yes.
Mr. Rangi,
Yes.
Mr. Dunn,
Yes.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Kehoe.
Yes. Transportation.
Okay, transportation. I'd like to move items 1 through 3 together. Item 1, being recommended that the board approve the quoted route awarded to the lowest quote for transportation of students for 2019-2020 ESY program as listed. Item 2 is a recommendation to approve the joint transportation agreements for the 2019-2020 ESY program as listed. Item number 3 is a recommendation to approve the joint transportation agreement with the Northern Region Educational Services Commission for the 2019-2020 ESY program. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Dona,
Yes.
Mr. Ancliffe,
Yes.
Mr. Rangi,
Yes.
Mr. Dunn,
Yes.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Caraza,
Yes.
Ms. Nugent,
Yes.
Mr. Kehoe.
Yes.
I'd like to move items 4 through 6 together. Number 4, the recommendation to approve the following joint transportation agreements for High Point routes for the 2019-2020 school year as listed. Number 5 is the recommendation to approve the joint transportation agreements for the Sussex Wantage routes and school-related activities for the 2019-2020 school year as listed. And item 6 is a recommendation to approve the joint transportation agreements for special education routes for the 2019-2020 school year. Can I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Nugent,
Yes.
Mr. Dona,
Yes.
Mr. Ancliffe,
Yes.
Mr. Rangi,
Yes.
Mr. Dunn,
Yes.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Caraza,
Yes.
Mr. Kehoe.
Yes.
items 7 through 9 together. Number 7, the recommendation to approve the renewal contracts for transportation of students to and from school in the 2019-2020 school year as listed. Number 8 is a recommendation to approve the renewal of contracts for transportation of students to and from school-related activities for the 2019-2020 school year as listed. Number 9, again, is a recommendation to approve the renewal of contracts for transportation of special education students to and from the school for the 2019-2020 school year as listed. Get a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I do.
Roll call?
Mr. Radcliffe?
Yes.
Mr. Morangi?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Caraza?
Yes.
Ms. Nugent?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Mr. Keough?
Yes.
Ask to move items 10 and 11 together. Number 10 being a recommendation to approve, award the following routes to the contractor with the lowest bid for routes for the 2019-2020 school year as listed. Number 11 is the recommendation to award the following to and from routes to the contractor with the lowest bid for the 2019-2020 school year as listed. Give a second.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Morangi?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Caraza?
Yes.
Ms. Nugent?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Mr. Radcliffe?
Yes.
Mr. Keough?
Yes.
Regards, I move item 12 by itself, recommendation for the board to approve an addendum to the contract for deletion of the bus aid for the 2019-2020 school year as listed in the agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Caraza?
Yes.
Ms. Nugent?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Mr. Radcliffe?
Yes.
Mr. Morangi?
Yes.
Mr. Keough?
Yes.
Finally, number 13, I move number 13 by itself, and it's a recommendation that the board approve Newton Urgent Care as the CDL drug and alcohol testing facility from July 2019 through June of 2020. The High Point Regional High School School District school bus drivers will be part of the Newton Urgent Care FMCSA consortium with other Sussex County school districts, with other Sussex County district school bus drivers for CDL drug and alcohol testing purposes in order to share costs. Our share of the consortium's annual fee for the 2019-2020 school year is $35.72 for the year. Can I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Caraza?
Yes.
Ms. Nugent?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Mr. Radcliffe?
Yes.
Mr. Morangi?
Yes.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Mr. Keough?
Yes. Thank you. Next, I'm going to add something to the agenda, and I'd like to just talk about the new committee. We have the long-term planning committee. We've met on two occasions. We've reached out to each of the sending districts to try to gather information on their student population and incoming students so we can get a better handle on the future student population that we can estimate coming in over the next 8 or 9 years. We had a wonderful contact with Mr. Ralph Smith, the president of the Frankfurt Board of Education, and a very good cooperation with the Frankfurt School Board so far, and we're looking forward to being able to hear from and deal with the other sending districts, hopefully in the near future. Next is legal. We have no legal items at this time. Correspondence. We have no correspondence at this time, which I'm aware. Miscellaneous. I want to mention that we were notified very recently of an application going for the Sussex County Agricultural Board?
Yes.
Agricultural Board regarding an application from a neighboring property, Ridge Hill Farm, which is a contiguous property behind the football field. And at this point, we've notified the Agricultural Board that we would like to have an opportunity to at least review the application because it was a very short notice. And the counsel for the applicant has withdrew it at this point in time to give us an opportunity to review it and see how it might affect our property. And the owner has generously given us an offer to be able to go on the property and review what their proposals are. So at that point, when we have it done with Buildings and Grounds Committee are looking into it and we'll report back. That being all on miscellaneous, do we have any public comments? Yes.
If I could just add, I was remiss when I presented that last week. Ms. Nugent came in and spent 2 hours with the administration and turnkeyed 40 years of experience with special education and basically handed off her playbook for transition services. And we've had a long partnership with Kid Affinity through our annual play and through other relationships. So we want to thank her for her time and effort in helping us improve in that area. And secondly, I meant to mention when I was speaking that August marks the 1-month anniversary that Ms. Lindsay LeDuc has been on our staff, and I just want to say that I can't believe it's only been
1 year.
what did I say?
1 month?
Oh, sorry. 1 year.
Is it that bad that you have to
And
celebrate 1 month?
in line with our district goals, the staff loves her and her admin colleagues love her, but most importantly, the students really look up to her and they respect her and they feel a sense of trust and warmth with her. So we're a better place, and thank you.
Any other public comments? Seeing no other public comments, non-committee board member reports or comments? Seeing no non-committee board member reports or comments, we have one other business. Other business, for the purpose of public, actually Jim, would you do other business?
Sure, for the purpose of public disclosure and in accordance with the Open Public Records Act, the High Point High School Board Office has received and responded to the following open requests over the past 2 months. Both in July. First one received from Pitney Bowes, copy of all current purchases and/or lease agreements for mailing and copy machines. We have agreements with a different company now, Pitney Bowes, for lease of our postage machines. It's a 5-year lease. We went through a New Jersey state contract. Everyone likes the machines. They've been in the district for a number of years. Pitney Bowes is reaching out probably to every school looking for business, so, which is fine. I checked in a couple years ago about open requests coming from companies to try and compete with other companies, and I was told that an open request comes from anybody you respond to. I said, okay, I'm just making sure. In the long run, I suppose it's good for the consumer that we're providing the best prices and products that we can. So anyway, that one took about 45 minutes. We received another one from turns out to be a student, but a member of the community. Requested copies of all checks and payroll registers from March to July. So we provided that information to this person. Via email, both requests took a day to provide the information. This was kind of a follow-up to a previous request by the same person. Earlier in the year, requested the same information. Earlier in the year, we provided it. The same person asked for information for the rest of the year, so we provided.
Can I ask is there an age limit as to who?
No, I checked into that too.
That's interesting. And the cost, the district consumes that cost?
Yes.
That's not fair.
Yeah, yes. And this is just an estimate of, we try and keep track of who you know, who helped, what they did. Try to keep track of the time.
Yeah, no, I just was curious about that.
Okay, seeing that all matters have been presented in front of the board, seeking a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? None discussion? Vote, well, we'll do just a general.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Seeing nobody opposed, we'll end the meeting. Thank you very much.